Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Herrmann, and I am a PhD student at the University of Rostock. I am working in a research project which investigates the pulse transit time. In this presentation, I would like to talk about the false positive avoidance and pulse detection from ECG and PPG sensor signals. I will start with a little introduction and give a short overview of ECG and PPG signals and our problem. After that, I will explain our used method. Finally, I will show some tests and summarize everything. Well, let's start with explaining what ECG and PPG signals are. The ECG, or electrocardiogram, represents the electrical activity of the heart. It is measured extracellularly. The heart is a muscle, and like every muscle, its movement generates an electric field. This electric field can be measured as a voltage between two electrodes placed on the patient's chest. There are different defined positions where those electrodes can be placed, which is illustrated in the picture on the left. Depending on the used position, the cardiac cycle can be clearly seen as a pattern that repeats with every heartbeat. This pattern is visible as the red graph in the middle picture, where we measured the ECG between the right and the left arm. The same heartbeat can be detected within the PPG or photoplethysmogram. The photoplethysmogram can be measured with a photodiode plus LED. The LED shines through tissue, like the finger, and the transmitted light is measured with the photodiode, as illustrated in the right picture. With every heartbeat, new oxygenated blood is pumped through the measurement area. This causes a change in volume and absorption coefficient. If the LED brightness is constant, the photodiode detects a repeating pattern, which can be seen as the blue graph in the middle picture. If the ECG and PPG signals are recorded time-synchronized, a short delay between the detected pulses can be seen. This time is called pulse transit time and is illustrated with the blue arrows in the picture. In order to calculate the pulse transit time, it is necessary to precisely locate the pulses in the ECG and the PPG signal. But like in every measurement, errors or anomalies within the signal might be present. This could be due to movement of the patient or because the sensors are readjusted. A failure could either be a false negative or a false positive. A false negative means that a single pulse is not detected at all. In that case, the pulse transit time cannot be calculated for this cardiac cycle. This is not great, but if it only happens infrequently, it's not a big deal. In our case, as we are interested in the long-term trend and a small number of consecutive missing measurements won't impact the result. A false positive, on the other hand, means that a pulse is detected at the wrong location. The consequence is that the pulse transit time calculation is invalid. Filtering invalid measurements is quite difficult in our case and usually involves manual checking in the post-processing. For this reason, this kind of failure is far worse. Therefore, we looked for methods to suppress false positives. First, we had a look at algorithms for pulse detection for ECG and PPG signals. Multiple different algorithms exist, and we focused on algorithms which we could implement in Python within a reasonable amount of time. The algorithms should be real-time capable, which means that we want it to analyze the data while it is being recorded. Furthermore, we wanted to be able to run it on standard low or mid-range hardware. We ended up with two different algorithms for each, the PPG and the ECG signals. One algorithm uses the method described by Pan-Tompkins. The other algorithm uses the continuous wavelet transformation with specially selected wavelets. I will now give a short overview of the mechanism of these algorithms, starting with the continuous wavelet transformation. The continuous wavelet transformation is great to detect a specific pattern within a signal. The core part is the wavelet, which is a short function. Different wavelets, which have been used for our algorithm, can be seen on the right. These finite functions are scaled in time, and each scale is convolved with the ECG or PPG signal. With a bit of imagination, you can see that the green and orange wavelet each looks similar to the spike in an ECG signal. The blue wavelet, on the other hand, looks similar to the slope of the PPG signal. The result of different scaled wavelets convolved with an ECG can be seen on the left, and on the right it can be seen for a PPG. In the middle, the input ECG and PPG signal is visible. Above, the result of the convolution with the wavelet of some selected scales is plotted as a joy plot. The bottom plot is a continuous plot for every scale. It can be seen that the result of all the convolutions form a kind of mountain ridge. The ridge line represents the location of a pulse. Therefore, the algorithm tries to locate ridge lines in order to detect the cardiac pulses within ECG and PPG signals. The second method of the pulse detection takes place in time domain. The algorithm proposed by Pan-Tompkins is used. Therefore, the ECG signal on the left is filtered in order to remove noise. The filtered ECG signal is differentiated and squared. After that, a moving window integration of the squared signal takes place. Within this integrated signal, the local maxima are detected. A moving threshold is applied to suppress noise peaks. The result of the remaining peaks can be seen in the bottom row, where each cardiac pulse got marked accordingly. A similar approach was used for PPG signals. Here we wanted to detect the steepest falling slope of the signal as it has shown to work best. First, the signal is filtered with a Savitzky-Golay filter to smoothen it and remove noise. After that, it is differentiated. The positive values are discarded and only negative values are squared. Within this data we looked for peaks and we also used an adaptive threshold in order to suppress noise. In the bottom plot, the detected pulses can be seen. Each algorithm sometimes has some problems with artifacts or anomalies in the signal. The frequency domain algorithm is generally more robust against artifacts, but it is not as precise in locating the pulse. If the signal is bad, both algorithms sometimes return false positives. Therefore, we combine both algorithms. First, we detect pulses with the time domain algorithm, and after that we detect pulses with the frequency domain algorithm. Then we check for each pulse if it is present in both results. If yes, we keep the time domain pulse position as it is more precise in time. If not, we discard the pulse. This is like a logical AND function, but we had to take care of the small inaccuracy of the frequency domain algorithm. The peaks detected are usually a bit off, so that we have to add a small tolerance in time. The need for the tolerance can be seen in the picture. Here you can see a PPG signal in which both algorithms detected the pulses. It can be seen that the pulses found by the continuous wavelet transformation are a little bit shifted in time when compared to the peaks found with the Pan-Tompkins algorithm. On this slide you can see 3 short signal sections containing different errors. In the first picture you can see a small anomaly within the signal at around 2 seconds. This anomaly is detected as a pulse by the Pan-Tompkins algorithm, but not by the frequency domain algorithm. All other pulses are detected by both. Therefore, only the valid pulses remain for further processing. In the second plot, you can see an ECG signal while one of the 2 ECG electrodes is not attached properly. The signal itself does not contain any usable data. Therefore, we do not want to detect anything in here. You can see that both algorithms show some findings, but as none of them are at the same position, no pulse is accepted within this section. Finally, you can see the case where a valid pulse is only detected by one of the 2 algorithms. This happens sporadically but very infrequent. Therefore, this shortcoming is bearable for our analysis. Now I will give a short summary of our method. We use 2 pulse detection algorithms on each signal, one of the algorithm being in frequency domain and the other being in time domain. Both algorithms behave differently when anomalies like motion artifacts are within the signal. The combination of both algorithms can be used to validate pulses and avoid false positive detections. The time domain algorithm should be used primarily as it is more precise in time, and the frequency domain algorithm should be used for validation. All algorithms presented were implemented in Python and can be run in real time on low to mid-range hardware, like a notebook or Raspberry Pi 4. Thank you for listening. I hope you found my presentation interesting. If you have any questions, I am happy to answer them.